Have you ever felt like you're just existing, not truly living? Like you're trapped in the same patterns, watching your life pass by? What if I told you that in just 1 year, you could completely rewire your mind and transform your reality? Most people fail to change because they focus on the external world without fixing what's inside. But science has uncovered something shocking. Your brain has the power to reprogram itself, and when you learn how to harness it, anything becomes possible. In this video, I'll reveal the secret to rewiring your mind, backed by neuroscience and real-life transformations. If you're ready to break free from limitations and step into the life you are meant to live, watch till the end. This could change everything. Welcome to Mindful Rise. We're so glad you're here. And if you're new to our community, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. We're here to support you every step of the way on your path to personal transformation. Let's begin. Before we talk about the how of transformation, we need to talk about the what. What is it that you actually want to achieve? What does a transformed you look like? This is where setting clear, specific goals comes in. Think of it like this. You wouldn't set out on a cross-country road trip without a map, right? You need to know where you're going before you can even start packing your bags. The same principle applies to personal transformation. You need a clear destination in mind if you want to reach it. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Goals? Dr. Joe, that sounds so formal, so structured. And I understand that. Sometimes the idea of setting goals can feel a bit rigid, a bit restrictive. But I want you to reframe your thinking about goals. Don't think of them as limitations. Think of them as signposts. They're there to guide you, to keep you on track, to help you measure your progress. They're not meant to box you in, they're meant to set you free. Before we delve deeper, let's address something important. A lot of people make the mistake of setting vague, wishy-washy goals. They say things like, I want to be happier, or I want to be more successful. And while those are certainly admirable aspirations, they're not particularly helpful when it comes to actually making change happen. Why? Because they're not specific enough. They're not measurable. How do you know when you're happier? How do you quantify success? These abstract concepts are hard to grasp, making it difficult to create a concrete plan of action. Before you start defining your goals, it's crucial to understand the difference between an intention and a goal. An intention is like a general direction you want to move in. It's a feeling, a desire, a yearning. A goal, on the other hand, is a specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound objective. It's a concrete step you can take to move closer to your intention. Let's say your intention is to improve your health. That's a great intention, but it's not a goal. A goal might be something like, I will walk for 30 minutes 3 times a week for the next 3 months. That's specific, it's measurable, it's achievable, it's relevant to your intention, and it's time bound. Before you move forward, consider this. When setting goals, it's essential to be realistic. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't dream big. Absolutely dream big, but your initial goals should be attainable. If you set goals that are too far-fetched, too ambitious, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. And when you experience setbacks, when you don't achieve those unrealistic goals, you're more likely to get discouraged and give up altogether. It's better to start small, build momentum, and then gradually increase the difficulty of your goals as you progress. Before we go any further, think about this. Your goals should be aligned with your values. What's truly important to you? What kind of person do you want to be? What kind of life do you want to create? Your goals should be a reflection of your deepest values. If you're pursuing goals that don't resonate with your core beliefs, you're going to feel unfulfilled, even if you achieve them. It's like climbing a ladder that's leaning against the wrong wall. You might reach the top, but you'll realize you're in the wrong place. Before you start writing down your goals, grab a journal or a piece of paper. This is a process that requires some reflection, some introspection. Don't just rush through it. Take your time, really think about what you want, and don't be afraid to dig deep. Sometimes the most meaningful goals are buried beneath layers of limiting beliefs and self doubt. Before we move on, let's talk about the importance of writing down your goals. It's not enough to just think about them. There's something incredibly powerful about putting pen to paper, about making your intentions tangible. When you write down your goals, you're making a commitment to yourself. You're solidifying your intentions and making them more real. It's like signing a contract with yourself. Before we finish this section, I want to leave you with a little exercise. Think about one area of your life that you'd like to transform. It could be your health, your relationships, your career, your finances, anything at all. Now, take a few minutes to brainstorm some specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound goals related to that area. Write them down. And then ask yourself, why is this goal important to me? How will achieving this goal make my life better? What steps can I take today to move closer to this goal? This simple exercise can be a powerful catalyst for change. Before we dive into the specifics of planning, let's talk about the big picture. You've set your goals, you know what you want to achieve, but now what? This is where the rubber meets the road. This is where you move from intention to action. And the key to effective action is having a structured plan. Think of it like building a house. You wouldn't just start throwing bricks together, would you? You need blueprints, a detailed plan that outlines every step of the process, from laying the foundation to putting on the roof. The same principle applies to personal transformation. You need a blueprint for change, a structured plan that breaks down your goals into manageable steps. Before you start creating your plan, it's crucial to understand that change doesn't happen overnight. It's a process, a journey, and like any journey, it's easier to navigate if you have a map. Your plan is your map. It guides you, it keeps you on track, and it helps you measure your progress. Without a plan, you're essentially wandering in the dark, hoping to stumble upon your destination. Before we go any further, let's talk about the importance of breaking down your goals into actionable steps. Remember those SMART goals we talked about? Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound? Well, each of those goals needs to be broken down into smaller, more manageable steps. Think of it like climbing a mountain. You wouldn't try to jump from the base to the summit in one leap, would you? You'd take it one step at a time, one foothold at a time. The same applies to your goals. Break them down into bite-sized pieces, tasks that you can realistically accomplish in a given time frame. Before you start outlining your plan, consider this. Your plan should be flexible. Life happens. Unexpected events occur. You might encounter obstacles you didn't anticipate. So, your plan needs to be adaptable. It should allow for adjustments, for course correction. Don't be afraid to tweak your plan as needed. The important thing is to keep moving forward, even if you have to change your route. Before we move on, let's talk about the power of weekly evaluations. This is where you check in with yourself, assess your progress, and make any necessary adjustments to your plan. Think of it like a pilot checking the instruments mid-flight. They need to make sure they're on course, that everything is functioning properly. You need to do the same with your transformation journey. Set aside some time each week to review your progress. Did you accomplish the tasks you set out to do? If not, why not? What can you do differently next week? Before you start your weekly evaluation, grab your journal or your planner. Review the goals you set for the week. Did you achieve them? If so, celebrate your successes. Acknowledge your progress no matter how small. This will help you stay motivated and keep you moving forward. Before we go any further, consider this. If you didn't achieve all of your goals for the week, don't beat yourself up about it. Everyone has setbacks. The important thing is to learn from your mistakes and adjust your plan accordingly. Ask yourself, what obstacles did I encounter? What can I do differently next week? How can I make my plan more effective? Before we finish this section, let's talk about the importance of accountability. Find someone who can support you on your journey. It could be a friend, a family member, a coach, or even a support group. Sharing your goals with someone else can help you stay motivated and keep you on track. Knowing that someone else is aware of your goals can create a sense of accountability, which can be a powerful motivator. Before we move on, remember this. Your plan is not set in stone. It's a living document that should evolve as you grow and change. Don't be afraid to revise your plan as needed. The important thing is to keep moving forward, to keep taking those small, consistent steps towards your goals. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a little exercise. Take some time this week to review your current plan. Are your goals broken down into actionable steps? Are you conducting weekly evaluations? Do you have someone to hold you accountable? If not, what can you do to improve your plan? Remember, this is your journey. You're in the driver's seat. And with a well-structured plan, you can achieve anything you set your mind to. Before we talk about the bigger picture of transformation, let's zoom in a bit. Let's talk about the small things, the little actions that, when repeated consistently, can have a profound impact on your life. I'm talking about micro habits. Now, you might have heard of habits before, but micro habits are a bit different. They're so small, so easy to implement that they almost feel insignificant. But that's precisely their power. Because they're so easy to do, you're much more likely to stick with them. And when you stick with them day after day, week after week, month after month, those tiny actions compound over time, creating significant, lasting change. Before we delve deeper, consider this. Think about a snowball rolling down a hill. It starts small, just a few flakes of snow clinging together. But as it rolls, it gathers more and more snow, growing bigger and bigger until it becomes an avalanche. Micro habits are like that initial snowball. They might seem small at first, but they have the potential to grow into something much larger, something truly transformative. Before we move on, let's talk about why micro habits are so effective. One of the biggest challenges when it comes to personal transformation is overcoming resistance to change. Our brains are wired to resist change, to stick with what's familiar, even if it's not serving us. Micro habits bypass this resistance by being so small and manageable that they don't trigger our brain's alarm bells. They're so easy to do that it feels almost silly not to do them. Before you start implementing micro habits, it's essential to understand that consistency is key. The power of micro habits lies in their repetition. It's not about doing something once or twice. It's about doing it consistently, day in and day out, until it becomes a natural part of your routine. Before we go any further, let's explore some examples of micro habits. One powerful micro habit is daily journaling. Even just writing for 5 minutes each day can have a profound impact on your self-awarenesses. It can help you clarify your thoughts, process your emotions, and identify patterns in your behavior. Before you consider which micro habits to adopt, think about your goals. What are you trying to achieve? What kind of person do you want to be? Your micro habits should be aligned with your goals. They should be small, consistent actions that move you closer to your desired outcome. Before we move on, here's another example of a micro habit: setting screen free zones. Designate certain times or areas where you disconnect from your devices. This could be during meals, before bed, or in specific rooms of your house. Creating screen free zones can help you be more present, more mindful, and more connected to the people around you. Before you start implementing your micro habits, consider this. Start small. Don't try to change too much too quickly. Choose one or two micro habits that resonate with you and focus on implementing those consistently. Once those become ingrained in your routine, you can gradually add more. Before we go any further, let's talk about the importance of tracking your micro habits. This can be as simple as putting a check mark on a calendar or using a habit tracking app. Tracking your progress can help you stay motivated and reinforce your commitment to your micro habits. Before we finish this section, here's another example of a powerful micro habit: practicing gratitude. Take a few moments each day to reflect on the things you're grateful for. This could be as simple as writing down 3 things you're grateful for in a journal, or simply taking a moment to appreciate the good things in your life. Practicing gratitude can boost your mood, improve your relationships, and enhance your overall well being. Before we move on, consider this: micro habits are not about perfection. You're not going to be perfect every day. You're going to miss days. You're going to slip up. That's okay. The important thing is to get back on track as quickly as possible. Don't let a few missed days derail your progress. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a little challenge. Think about one area of your life that you'd like to improve. Now, identify one micro habit that you could implement to move you closer to your goal. Commit to doing that micro habit consistently for the next week. And then at the end of the week, reflect on your progress. How did it make you feel? Did it have any impact on your life? This simple exercise can be a powerful way to experience the transformative power of micro habits. Before we delve into the more esoteric aspects of transformation, let's talk about something fundamental, something that forms the bedrock of our well being: physical health. You see, personal transformation isn't just about changing your mind or your emotions. It's about transforming your entire being, and that includes your physical body. Think of it like this: you can't build a strong house on a weak foundation. Similarly, you can't achieve true personal transformation if you're neglecting your physical health. Before we go any further, let's address a common misconception. Many people think that getting healthy requires drastic measures, extreme diets, and grueling workouts. And while those things can be beneficial, they're not necessary, especially when you're just starting out. In fact, trying to do too much too soon is often a recipe for failure. It's much more effective to start small, to build momentum, and to gradually increase the intensity of your efforts as you progress. Before we move on, let's talk about the importance of regular exercise. Now, I'm not saying you need to run marathons or become a bodybuilder. What I'm talking about is incorporating some form of physical activity into your daily routine. Even something as simple as a daily walk can have a profound impact on your health. Walking is a low impact exercise that's accessible to almost everyone. It's a great way to improve your cardiovascular health, boost your mood, and reduce stress. Before you start an exercise program, it's always a good idea to consult with your doctor, especially if you have any underlying health conditions. But once you get the green light, there are countless ways to incorporate more physical activity into your life. You could try taking the stairs instead of the elevator, parking further away from the store, or even just dancing around your living room to your favorite music. Before we go any further, let's talk about the importance of a balanced diet. Now, I'm not a nutritionist and I'm not going to tell you exactly what you should eat, but the basic principles of healthy eating are pretty straightforward. Focus on whole, unprocessed foods like fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, and whole grains. Limit your intake of processed foods, sugary drinks, and unhealthy fats. Before you make drastic changes to your diet, consider this. Small changes can have a big impact. You don't have to overhaul your entire diet overnight. Start by making small, manageable changes, like adding an extra serving of vegetables to your meals or swapping out sugary drinks for water. Before we move on, let's talk about the connection between physical health and mental health. They're inextricably linked. When you take care of your physical body, you're also taking care of your mental and emotional well being. Regular exercise can reduce stress, improve your mood, and boost your self confidence. And a healthy diet provides your brain with the nutrients it needs to function optimally. Before you start focusing on your diet, consider this. Listen to your body. Pay attention to how different foods make you feel. If you notice that certain foods make you feel sluggish or unwell, try eliminating them from your diet. Before we go any further, let's talk about the importance of consistency. Just like with micro habits, the key to success with physical health is consistency. It's not about doing a lot of exercise or eating perfectly for one day. It's about consistently making healthy choices day after day, week after week. Before we finish this section, let's talk about the importance of making it fun. If you don't enjoy your workouts or your healthy meals, you're not going to stick with them. So find activities that you enjoy. Maybe you like hiking, swimming, dancing, or playing sports. Find something that you look forward to doing, and you'll be much more likely to stick with it. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a little challenge. Think about one small change you could make today to improve your physical health. Maybe it's going for a walk, adding an extra serving of vegetables to your dinner, or swapping out a sugary drink for water. Commit to making that change today, and then continue to make that change consistently for the next week. You might be surprised at how much of a difference it makes. Remember, taking care of your physical health is an essential part of your journey of personal transformation. It's the foundation upon which you can build a stronger, healthier, and more fulfilling life. Before we move on to the more external aspects of life, let's turn our attention inward. Let's talk about the landscape of your mind, the realm of your thoughts and emotions. Because just as physical health is crucial for overall well being, so too is mental well being. You can have the most beautiful garden in the world, but if the soil is unhealthy, the plants won't thrive. Similarly, you can have all the external trappings of success, but if your mind is cluttered, stressed, or anxious, you won't be able to truly enjoy them. Before we go any further, let's talk about the importance of mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of paying attention to the present moment without judgment. It's about observing your thoughts and feelings without getting carried away by them. It's about becoming more aware of your inner world so you can respond to life's challenges with greater clarity and wisdom. Before you dismiss mindfulness as some kind of esoteric practice, consider this. It's not about emptying your mind. It's about becoming more aware of the contents of your mind. It's about recognizing that your thoughts are not facts. They're just thoughts. And you have the power to choose which thoughts you focus on. Before we move on, let's talk about meditation. Meditation is a practice that involves training your mind to focus and quiet the chatter. There are many different types of meditation, but the basic principle is the same: to bring your attention to a single point of focus, such as your breath, a mantra, or a visual image. Before you think meditation is too difficult or time consuming, consider this. Even just a few minutes of meditation each day can have a significant impact on your mental well being. Start small, perhaps with 5 minutes a day, and gradually increase the duration as you become more comfortable with the practice. Before we go any further, let's talk about the impact of technology on our mental well being. We live in a world that's constantly connected, and while technology can be a wonderful tool, it can also be a major source of stress and distraction. The constant barrage of notifications, emails, and social media updates can overwhelm our minds and make it difficult to focus on what's truly important. Before you feel overwhelmed by technology, consider this. You have the power to control your relationship with technology. You can set boundaries, limit your screen time, and create space for more meaningful activities. Before we move on, let's talk about the concept of phone free February. This is a challenge where people intentionally reduce their screen time throughout the month of February. It's a way to raise awareness about the impact of technology on our mental health and to encourage people to develop healthier habits. Before you think phone free February is too extreme, consider this. You don't have to go completely phone free. Even small reductions in your screen time can make a difference. Try setting aside specific times each day where you disconnect from your devices. This could be during meals, before bed, or during your commute. Before we go any further, let's talk about the benefits of spending time in nature. Studies have shown that spending time in nature can reduce stress, improve mood, and boost cognitive function. Even just a short walk in the park can have a positive impact on your mental well being. Before you make excuses about not having time to spend in nature, consider this. You don't have to go on a week-long camping trip. Even just a few minutes in your backyard or a local park can be beneficial. Before we finish this section, let's talk about the importance of self-care. Self-care is about taking care of your physical, emotional, and mental needs. It's about doing things that make you feel good, that replenish your energy, and that help you maintain balance in your life. Before you think self care is selfish, consider this. Self care is essential for your well being. You can't pour from an empty cup. If you're constantly giving to others without taking care of yourself, you'll eventually burn out. Before we conclude our discussion on personal transformation, let's talk about something that's often overlooked but incredibly important: your environment. You see, transformation doesn't happen in a vacuum. It's influenced by the people you surround yourself with, the information you consume, and the overall atmosphere of your life. Think about it. If you're trying to grow a plant, you wouldn't put it in a dark, barren room, would you? You'd place it in a sunny spot, provide it with rich soil, and nurture it with care. The same principle applies to personal growth. You need to cultivate a supportive environment that nourishes your mind, body, and spirit. Before we delve deeper, let's talk about the power of positive influences. The people you spend time with have a significant impact on your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. If you're surrounded by negative, pessimistic people, their energy will likely rub off on you. On the other hand, if you're surrounded by positive, supportive people, their enthusiasm and encouragement can lift you up and inspire you to achieve your goals. Before you start evaluating your relationships, consider this. It's not about cutting people out of your life entirely. It's about being mindful of who you spend your time with and prioritizing relationships that uplift you and support your growth. You might need to limit your interactions with people who drain your energy or who constantly criticize you. Before we move on, let's talk about the importance of seeking mentors. A mentor is someone who has already achieved what you're trying to achieve. They can provide guidance, support, and wisdom based on their own experiences. A good mentor can help you avoid common pitfalls, accelerate your progress, and keep you motivated on your journey. Before you start looking for a mentor, consider this. Mentorship is a two-way street. It's not just about the mentor giving advice and the mentee receiving it. It's about building a relationship based on mutual respect, trust, and open communication. Before we go any further, let's talk about the power of community. Surrounding yourself with people who share your goals and values can be incredibly beneficial. Being part of a supportive community can provide you with a sense of belonging, encouragement, and accountability. It can also give you access to new ideas, perspectives, and resources. Before you start looking for a community, consider this. There are many different types of communities. You could join an online forum, attend local workshops or meetups, or even start your own community. The important thing is to find a community that resonates with you and that supports your personal growth. Before we move on, let's talk about the importance of self reflection. Before you can build a supportive environment, you need to be clear about your own values, goals, and aspirations. What kind of person do you want to be? What kind of life do you want to create? Once you have a clear understanding of your own vision, you can start to attract people and resources that align with that vision. Before you start making changes to your environment, consider this. It's not about changing other people, it's about changing yourself. You can't control other people's behavior, but you can control how you respond to it. You can choose to surround yourself with people who uplift you, and you can choose to limit your interactions with people who don't. Before we go any further, let's talk about the importance of continuous learning. Your environment includes the information you consume, so make sure you're feeding your mind with positive, inspiring, and educational content. Read books, listen to podcasts, watch documentaries, and attend workshops that align with your goals and values. Before you start consuming more content, consider this. Be mindful of the information you're taking in. Not all information is created equal. Be selective about what you consume and make sure it's coming from reputable sources. Before we finish this section, let's talk about the importance of giving back. One of the best ways to create a supportive environment is to be a supportive person. Offer your help to others, share your knowledge and experience, and be a positive influence in your community. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a little challenge. Take some time this week to evaluate your environment. Who are the people you spend the most time with? What kind of information are you consuming? Remember, your environment plays a crucial role in your journey of transformation. By surrounding yourself with positive influences, seeking mentors, and joining supportive communities, you can create a fertile ground for growth and achieve your full potential. Before we bring this discussion on personal transformation to a close, there's one more crucial element I want to emphasize: continuous learning. You see, transformation isn't a destination, it's a journey. It's not something you achieve and then you're done. It's an ongoing process of growth, evolution, and expansion. And the key to that ongoing growth is a commitment to lifelong learning. Think of it like this: a plant that stops growing eventually withers and dies. Similarly, a mind that stops learning stagnates and becomes rigid. To truly thrive, to truly live a life of purpose and fulfillment, you must embrace continuous learning. Before we delve deeper, let's talk about the concept of a growth mindset. This is a term coined by Carol Dweck, and it refers to the belief that your abilities and intelligence are not fixed traits, but rather qualities that can be developed through dedication and hard work. People with a growth mindset embrace challenges, view failures as opportunities for learning, and persist in the face of setbacks. They want to understand that growth is a process, and they're willing to put in the effort to expand their knowledge and skills. Before you dismiss the idea of a growth mindset, consider this: it's not just some feel good philosophy, it's backed by science. Studies have shown that people with a growth mindset are more likely to achieve their goals, overcome obstacles, and experience greater success in all areas of their lives. Before we move on, let's talk about the importance of seeking new knowledge. The world is constantly changing, and if you want to stay relevant and adaptable, you need to be willing to learn new things. This could involve reading books, taking courses, attending workshops, or simply exploring new ideas and concepts. Before you feel overwhelmed by the prospect of learning new things, consider this. Learning doesn't have to be a chore. It can be fun, engaging, and even exciting. The key is to find topics that genuinely interest you and pursue them with passion. Before we go any further, let's talk about the power of reading. Books are a treasure trove of knowledge, wisdom, and inspiration. They can expose you to new ideas, different perspectives, and fascinating stories. Reading can expand your mind, enhance your creativity, and improve your communication skills. Before you say you don't have time to read, consider this. Even just a few minutes of reading each day can make a difference. Keep a book by your bedside, in your car, or on your phone, and make it a habit to read whenever you have a few spare moments. Before we move on, let's talk about the benefits of taking courses. Whether it's an online course, a community college class, or a professional development workshop, taking courses can be a great way to acquire new skills and deepen your understanding of specific topics. Before you hesitate to enroll in a course, consider this. Investing in your education is one of the best investments you can make. The knowledge and skills you acquire can pay dividends throughout your life. Before we go any further, let's talk about the importance of exploring new hobbies. Learning doesn't have to be limited to academic or professional pursuits. Exploring new hobbies can be a great way to expand your horizons, discover hidden talents, and have some fun along the way. Before you think you don't have time for hobbies, consider this. Hobbies are not a luxury, they're a necessity. They provide you with a creative outlet, help you relax and de stress, and can even lead to new opportunities and connections. Before we finish this section, let's talk about the importance of lifelong learning. Learning is not something you do in school and then you're done. It's a continuous process that should continue throughout your life. The more you learn, the more you realize how much you don't know, and the more curious you become. Before we conclude our exploration of personal transformation, let's discuss a crucial element that often gets overlooked: monitoring progress and staying accountable. You see, embarking on a journey of transformation is like setting sail on a long voyage. You have your map, your goals, your compass, your support system. But without regularly checking your position, without tracking your progress, you could easily drift off course and never reach your destination. Similarly, without some form of accountability, it's easy to lose motivation, fall back into old habits, and ultimately abandon your journey altogether. Before we delve deeper, let's talk about the importance of tracking your achievements. It's not just about celebrating your successes, although that's certainly important. It's also about gaining valuable insights into what's working and what's not. By tracking your progress, you can identify patterns, recognize areas where you're excelling, and pinpoint areas where you need to adjust your approach. Before you start tracking your progress, consider this. There's no one-size-fits-all approach. The best method for tracking your achievements will depend on your personality, your goals, and your preferred learning style. Some people prefer detailed spreadsheets, while others prefer simple checklists. The important thing is to find a system that works for you and that you can stick with consistently. Before we move on, let's talk about the importance of acknowledging your setbacks. Setbacks are an inevitable part of any journey, especially one that involves personal transformation. You're going to have days where you slip up, where you fall back into old habits, where you don't achieve your goals. That's okay. It's part of the process. The key is not to get discouraged by your setbacks, but rather to learn from them. Before you get discouraged by a setback, consider this. A setback is not a failure, it's an opportunity for growth. Ask yourself, what happened? What can I learn from this experience? How can I adjust my approach to avoid similar setbacks in the future? Before we go any further, let's talk about the power of journaling. Journaling is a powerful tool for self reflection and personal growth. It can help you clarify your thoughts, process your emotions, and track your progress over time. You can use your journal to document your achievements, reflect on your setbacks, and identify patterns in your behavior. Before you think journaling is too time consuming, consider this. Even just a few minutes of journaling each day can make a difference. Don't worry about writing perfectly or grammatically correct, just write whatever comes to mind. The important thing is to get your thoughts and feelings down on paper. Before we move on, let's talk about the importance of accountability. Sharing your goals with a trusted friend, family member, or coach can provide you with a sense of accountability. Knowing that someone else is aware of your goals can motivate you to stay on track and keep you committed to your journey. Before you share your goals with someone, consider this. Choose someone who is supportive, encouraging, and non judgmental. You want someone who will cheer you on, not someone who will criticize you or make you feel bad about yourself. Before we go any further, let's talk about the benefits of joining a support group or community. Being part of a community of like minded individuals can provide you with a sense of belonging, encouragement, and support. You can share your experiences, learn from others, and celebrate each other's successes. Before you hesitate to join a support group, consider this. You're not alone on your journey. Everyone struggles at times. Being part of a community can help you realize that you're not alone, and it can provide you with the support you need to keep moving forward. Before we conclude our journey through the landscape of personal transformation, let's talk about two interconnected elements that are vital for sustained growth: celebrating milestones and adjusting as needed. You see, transformation isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. And just like any marathon runner needs to celebrate those mile markers, those points of progress, so too must you acknowledge and appreciate your own milestones along the way. And just as a marathon runner might need to adjust their pace or strategy based on the terrain or their physical condition, so too must you be flexible with your plans, willing to adapt and adjust as needed. Before we delve deeper, let's talk about the importance of celebrating milestones. It's so easy to get caught up in the pursuit of our goals that we forget to acknowledge how far we've come. We focus so much on what we haven't yet achieved that we overlook the progress we've already made. But celebrating milestones, no matter how small, is essential for maintaining motivation and reinforcing positive behaviors. Before you dismiss the idea of celebrating small wins, consider this. Celebrating milestones isn't about throwing a party every time you tick something off your to do list. It's about taking a moment to acknowledge your progress, to appreciate your efforts, and to recognize how far you've come. It could be as simple as giving yourself a pat on the back, treating yourself to something you enjoy, or simply taking a moment to reflect on your accomplishments. Before we move on, let's talk about the psychological benefits of celebrating milestones. When you acknowledge your progress, your brain releases dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and reward. This reinforces positive behaviors and makes you more likely to continue pursuing your goals. Celebrating milestones also boosts your self confidence and strengthens your belief in your ability to achieve your dreams. Before you start celebrating every little thing, consider this. It's not about going overboard. It's about finding a balance between acknowledging your achievements and staying focused on your long term goals. The key is to find ways to celebrate that feel meaningful to you. Before we go any further, let's talk about the importance of being flexible with your plans. Life is unpredictable. Things don't always go according to plan. You might encounter unexpected obstacles, you might change your priorities, or you might simply realize that your initial approach isn't working. That's okay. The key is to be flexible, to be willing to adapt, and to be open to new possibilities. Before you get discouraged when your plans change, consider this. Flexibility is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. It shows that you're willing to learn, to grow, and to adapt to changing circumstances. It's about recognizing that the journey is just as important as the destination. Before we move on, let's talk about the importance of viewing challenges as opportunities for growth. Challenges are an inevitable part of life. They're going to happen, no matter how well you plan or how hard you try. But how you respond to those challenges is what will determine your success. Before you dread the next challenge, consider this. Challenges are not roadblocks, they're stepping stones. They're opportunities to learn, to grow, and to become stronger. Every challenge you overcome makes you more resilient and better equipped to handle future obstacles. Before we finish this section, let's talk about the importance of self reflection. Take some time regularly to reflect on your progress, to evaluate your plans, and to assess your overall well being. Ask yourself, am I making progress towards my goals? Are my plans still aligned with my values? Am I taking care of myself physically, mentally, and emotionally? Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a little challenge. Think about one milestone you've achieved recently, no matter how small. Take a moment to celebrate that milestone, acknowledge your progress, and appreciate your efforts. And then reflect on your current plans. Are they still working for you? Do you need to make any adjustments? Remember, personal transformation is a journey of continuous growth, adaptation, and celebration. Embrace the journey, celebrate your milestones, and be flexible with your plans. And most importantly, remember that every challenge is an opportunity for growth. And so, as we come to the end of this journey together, I want to leave you with one final powerful message. Significant, lasting, life altering change is absolutely possible within a year. It's not some distant dream or unattainable fantasy, it's a reality you can create, a transformation you can embody. But it won't happen by accident. It requires consistent effort, a clear vision, and a commitment to the principles we've discussed today. It requires you to take ownership of your life and become the architect of your own destiny. Think back to that seed we talked about at the beginning. Remember how it started small, seemingly insignificant? But with the right conditions, with consistent nurturing, it blossomed into something beautiful and vibrant. You are that seed. You have the potential for incredible growth, for profound transformation. And just like that seed, you need the right conditions to flourish. You need to set clear goals, develop a structured plan, cultivate positive micro habits, prioritize your physical and mental well being, build a supportive environment, embrace continuous learning, monitor your progress, celebrate your milestones, and adjust as needed. This isn't just about changing your external circumstances. It's about changing who you are at your core. It's about rewriting the narrative of your life and creating a future that is aligned with your deepest values and aspirations. It's about becoming the person you were always meant to be. So, I ask you, what's the first step you're going to take today? What one small action will you commit to right now that will move you closer to your vision of a transformed you? Don't wait. Don't procrastinate. Take that first step today. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. and your journey of transformation begins with a single decision. If this video has resonated with you, if you've found value in the information we've shared, please give it a thumbs up. Liking this video helps us reach more people who are seeking positive change in their lives. And if you're new to our channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. We're here to support you on your journey, to provide you with the tools and resources you need to create the life you deserve. We're here to remind you that you are capable of extraordinary things. You have the power within you to transform your life. Now, go out there and make it happen.